that they did that in the movie instead of ending in the manga that way, but it's.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Of course, I'm being heavily sarcastic here. They save the day, and there's a tearful goodbye with Rhodey, it and it turned out Rhodey was the boy who had the secret to everything because his father had been forced to help the baddies work on their bombs and blah 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 blah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so I would say this is like a fairly middling movie as far as like the whole one shot shonen thing goes. But like if you compare it to like say the Dragon Ball TV movies,
Mhm.
um, those were like an hour ish. This clocks in at about I want to say an hour 45. Let's see here.
That does
IMDb.
seem kind of long for an anime movie. Because
I think it's because it was just kind of overstuffed. Like this, they
yeah.
were trying to introduce too many elements to make you care about them, which is kind of why they had to kind of fast forward Rhodey's character development as the plucky rogue. I think part of it is also that he just came off as very smarmy because he was dealing with Deku, who's just like a very straightforward, kindly character.
Yeah.
Um, it's like him smarming on Deku just like made me feel oddly protective. Like you leave that poor boy alone.
Yeah. He's he's the heir apparent to All Might. Come on.
Yes, he's just a nice kid. What you think you're so great?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I can't claim that this movie is awful or anything. I've definitely seen worse, but it definitely doesn't measure up to the other two movies in the
Mm.
series.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. But I almost have a feeling that I watched the better of the two superhero movies we're going to talk about.
Yeah. 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 So yes, my journey into schlocky B movies continues. Um, so I watched Roger Corman's Black Scorpion, which was a very low budget. It was, of course, it's Roger Corman, so yes, it's going to be low budget, but a low budget superhero movie. Very much trying to be in the vein of the Tim Burton Batman movies. Although I would say certainly like goofier than.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen this movie, but I have seen a few episodes of the TV series that this spawned, and
Yeah.
they had Adam West as a supporting character in this show, so that tells you what they were going for.
Yeah. But yeah, so Black Scorpion she's basically like take Batman and Catwoman and combine the two of them, and that's basically who she is. Um, so so the movie basically is about uh, Black Scorpion. Her real name is Darcy Walker, and she's a cop in Angel City, which is really Los Angeles. Um, and she's kind of got a she's trying not to be like her father. Her father was also a cop, and her dad lost his badge, or lost his badge because he accidentally shot a doctor in the hospital during a hostage situation,
Mm.
which that comes up later in the movie. And So she's trying not to be as like roguish as him, but we we meet her where she's working as a undercover as a lady of the streets,
Knew
if
it.
you know what I mean.
Knew that's where it was going.
Yeah. And she's hanging around with this an actual lady of the streets, because her pimp, or I should say the guy who collects the money, um, is well, suspected of killing a few other ladies of the streets and their male clients. Um, And so she's doing that, and then of course her partner is nearby, a very straight laced uh, detective. God, what was his name? Um, Michael Russo, played by Bruce Abbott, who most people remember him from Reanimator. And yeah, and Black Scorpion Darcy is she's played by Joan Severance, who DB and I saw in a movie about a month ago. She was in Bird on a Wire. She was she's the the vet character who's like another girlfriend of Mel Gibson's character, and she like turns out to be like a total badass. Um, and so, but yeah, so anyway, they uh so anyway, as the story progresses, like they arrest the pimp, but they can't hold him because they couldn't really, they didn't have any evidence that they could really charge him with. And you find the real goofy part of the movie with their captain, who's this he's a chain smoker, and he's he's in the in their office, and he's smoking a cigarette, and the DA is using his asthma inhaler, and the captain is just like, you need to take better care of yourself.
So it sounds like the movie's got some like nice ironic lines there.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, yeah. There's another part in there where the captain's like, he's got a cigarette, and he's like, and one of the cops is like, "Hey, you okay there, Captain?" "Oh, I quit smoking this morning. It's just really getting into me." um, but yeah, so the other aspect too is with Darcy's partner, Michael, is that he's very he's overly protective of her, which gets on her nerves. Um, and then she's out having a beer with her dad, who's working as a stadium security guard. And what's weird is that they had the same actor who played her dad when she was a kid, playing him, as her dad as an adult. And you look at the two of them, it's like, okay, they're like the same. you don't, you can't really tell that they're father and daughter. Um, but then what ends up happening is the DA walks into the bar and then shoots her dad, and shoots and kills her dad. And they, of course, they're trying to figure out, like, well, why would he do that? And then she goes into the prison cell where the DA is, and threatens him with a gun, trying to get him to tell her why he killed her dad and why he killed her dad. And then she loses her job, and then that's when she decides, well, I've got all these clothes from when I was working undercover, and
So that's why her superhero costume looks like a stripper outfit.
exactly, yeah.
That's kind of hilarious, actually.
Yeah. um, but she takes on the persona of this of a scorpion, because when she was a girl, her dad told her the story of the scorpion and the frog. Um, which I'm hopeful that people in our audience know that story. If you don't, just Google it. Um, and
I even made reference to it in one of my books.
yeah, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, um, and so she dons all her she dons her costume, and then she goes and kills the pimp, and then she decides that this is the way she wants to go about it. So then uh, it kind of actually, a part of it reminded me of Death Wish, when she's going around being a vigilante, um, and then she actually watches news stories about her. Much like the way Paul Kersey did in Death Wish. And but then she then so there are a lot of kind of like glaring like leaps in logic that you kind of have to roll with it, given the fact that what this movie is. Like for example, like her dad gave her a scorpion ring, and she takes apart a taser and like hooks it up to with the ring, and then it shoots electricity out of it.
Huh.
Yeah, and she also, and I guess at some point she did the same thing with her. She put like electrical stuff into her boots, and it makes her jump really high. And the probably the one of the most glaring goofs is that her boots change from heels to flats depending on depending on if she's fighting or not. Um, but the main crux of the movie is that there's a super villain called the Breathtaker, and that's the guy over her right shoulder there, and with the red eyes, um, wearing just the like a cheapo like Darth Vader costume. And he has an army of asthmatics. And his grand plan is so like the one of the things they've mentioned is that the city has a really bad smog problem, which, you know, if you know anything about LA has a
That
smog
fits. Yeah.
problem. Yeah, yeah, and so they built all these towers to air control quality towers. And so the Breathtaker takes over one of these. His grand plan is to take over these towers and release this mind control gas. And the mind control gas was what was in the DA's inhaler. And that's why because so spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled by this for hearing these spoilers, the Breathtaker is the doctor that Darcy's father shot. And
Okay.
okay, so what's funny is when he got shot from the front, but he somehow got shot in both lungs. He only got shot once from the front. How do you get shot in both lungs from the front?
Hmm.
um, another glaring plot hole. And but yeah, so his grand plan is to release this mind control gas into the air so that everybody in the city is under his control. Um, and the other aspect of it too is so every vigilante superhero usually has like the tech person, the tech guy.
Right.
So for Black Scorpion, she's got this guy Argyle, who's played by Garrett Morris, who if anybody out there watched old school SNL, he was a cast member on SNL. He was the one who did the bit with for the deaf and hearing impaired. Good night and have a pleasant
Oh,
tomorrow.
okay.
Yeah. And he so Argyle has this like chop shop, and he modifies her car into the Scorpion mobile, and somehow this guy who runs a very low level chop shop in LA can get his hands on military grade technology that can
You know,
change her car from a sports car to a like a black, you know,
look. You know,
thing,
it's it fell off a truck.
yes, yeah, yeah. but um but yeah, I mean, this it's, it is what it is. I mean, it's a I will say it. I was entertained by it at the very least, even though like, there's just so many like leaps in logic and plot contrivances and everything. But I mean, it's a fairly straightforward superhero uh, origin story movie. And I mean, it's got a beautiful woman, wearing a really hot outfit. I mean,
Right. I mean, Roger Corman was not out to was not out to make high art of any sort.
no, he was out to make movies that people wanted to watch. And he liked, he liked a lot of action. He liked a lot of cool set pieces, and he liked beautiful women. So
Yep. Uh,
Yeah.
I believe this is the guy who one time they decided to shoot a movie in a single weekend just to see if they could.
Yeah, that was the original Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So the man was the king of B movies. Like he has the claim to fame that no movie that he ever made ever lost a dime.
Right. Yeah.
I
Um,
suppose, except arguably the Fantastic Four movie that they never actually released.
right. Yeah. But but yeah, I mean, this is a, I mean, fairly decent movie. I mean, for what it is. And yeah, this is definitely one of those, like, watch it with some friends, watch it with plenty of alcohol. Hopefully you can find it. The only reason I was able to watch it is because I had a copy of it on DVD. You
Hmm.
might be able to find that one. It's not on Blu-ray. It never got a Blu-ray release,
I can't
and
imagine why.
yeah, oh, yeah, and it's not streaming anywhere. So your best bet is maybe try to find you know a copy of it on DVD somewhere. But yeah,
Well, it sounds like you had a better time with this one than I had with mine.
yeah,
Uh,